We already know the Super Nintendo was the console that let plumbers ride dinosaurs and let pink balloons inhale deities, so why should it surprise anyone that it also let 3 rival planets file joint custody over a self-aware robo-menagerie? Don't play coy, you absolutely clicked because the box art looks like Gundam fan fiction spray painted on a Trapper Keeper. Xardion is the game that hands you a triad of mechs, sprinkles a light RPG glaze on top, and then, midway through the campaign, drags you into a cosmic department of motor vehicles to grind paperwork, read experience points, before you're allowed to wield the titular Superbot. Underrated, overrated, essential, disposable? Yes, it's a 16-bit fever dream where leveling up feels like waiting for your number to flash on a holographic kiosk, yet every boss explosion releases the same endorphins as popping bubble wrap in Zero-G. Hyperbole? Always. Irony? Inevitably. Rhetorical questions followed by self-deprecating answers. Could I possibly review a 1992 tech noir mech shooter without them? Spoiler, no. So polish your beam cannon, grab a clipboard, and prepare for 4,000 plus words of snark, trivia, and laser-etched nostalgia. Historical context. Spring 1992, in Japanese arcade Street Fighter II, Champion Edition lines snaked around blocks, while console owners debated whether ActRaiser proved God could platform. Into that whirlwind, publisher Asmik Ace dropped Xardion on March 20th in Japan, followed mere weeks later by an English release through its American branch. No middleman required. The developer Triton had spent the Famicom years ghost coding RPGs, but for this cartridge they drafted heavyweight anime talent, mecha silhouettes, come courtesy of Moriki Yasuhiro and Hajime Katoki, whose resume reads like a mobile suit anthology. Gainax lent design feedback between bouts of animating starship gun battles, and the soundtrack duty fell to Kohei Tanaka, fresh off scoring Gunbuster, and evidently in the mood to sandwich heroic brass between crunchy PCM guitar licks. Magazine hype was confused. Famitsu lobbed a 21 out of 40. Ouch, calling the controls stiff yet daring. Electronic Gaming Monthly previewers shrugged before pivoting to a Contra 3 spread, while import shops in my corner of New England laminated Katoki's concept art and taped it beside price tags like holy scripture. I rented the cart the same weekend I first saw Gunbuster on VHS, double feature Destiny. The clerk warned me it combined Mega Man jumping and Robotech angst, which in 1992 sounded as appetizing as dipping pizza in ice cream. Reader, I devoured it anyway. Industry-wise, Xardion sat in a liminal phase between 2 design monoliths, the stat-padding platformer, ActRaiser Soul Blazer, and the cinematic mech side-scroller, Cybernator. It borrowed bits of both, then stapled on a 3-character tag system that preceded Castlevania 3's partner antics reaching the 16-bit crowd. Meanwhile, shooters were flirting with light RPG hooks, Thunder Force Warfi's weapon upgrades, Gate of Thunder's shield farming, so attaching XP bars to robots felt less revolutionary than inevitable. Whether the mashup click depended on your tolerance for mid-level backtracking and your love of all things giant robot adjacent. On the personal timeline, 13-year-old me slapped the cartridge into a smoking gray SNES, tuned the bedroom CRT to channel 3 static, and promptly failed the first jumping section because Triton's 4-story sprite blocked half the horizon. I also burned through 2 cans of Surge and snarled, "Level caps are for cowards," a foreshadowing of the cosmic DMV punch I'd eat in Stage 6. Mechanics: the roster Triton, the Ocean Sphere-borne bipedal bruiser, 8-directional rifle, shoulder vents that puff steam like a gym bro exhaling pre-workout, and a jump arc best described as SUV with springs. Panthera, Holosphere's quadruped scout, skims ground like a cyber leopard, crouches so low that bubble projectiles sail overhead, but tops out at a jump barely higher than a folding chair. Alcedes, Fiera's mystic cyborg, floats via subtle thrusters, flicks psionic bolts, and bleeds SP whenever his hover frames linger. Think Glider Pro wearing wizard robes. Each arrives at level 1, sporting personal HP and SP meters, and, crucially, their own experience counter. Slay a mini-boss with Panthera, and Panthera alone reaps the game. Boost Triton all game, and you'll watch Alcedes crumple like aluminum foil in the final gauntlet. XP thresholds climb steeply until the cap at level 12, a nice round dozen, which the manual understates with a breezy, characters grow stronger with use. Swap is instant via select, so the real artistry lies in treating the trio like a prog rock rhythm section. Panthera dodges, Triton shreds, Alcedes solos, repeat. Slapping those transitions mid-boss feels like sliding a fader on a mixing console. Stages planets sprawl across parallax backdrops, charcoal deserts, coral caverns, neon circuitry corridors, each culminating in a mid-boss tutorial and a screen-wide bruiser finale. Holosphere's refinery introduces collapsing girders that demand Panthera's low profile, while Ocean Sphere's drowned ducks leverage Triton's ceiling shots to ping aquatic drones floating just off Y-axis. Level geometry consistently asks, who's least terrible at surviving this room, and rewards you for answering honestly. One infamous checkpoint, early game, desert biome, spawns 2 flamethrower turrets flanking a pit. Triton's beefcake hitbox absorbs fire like SPF 0 skin. Panthera slides under but can't clear the gap, and Alcedes hovers above the flames at the cost of SP ticks. The choice is yours. The complaint department is closed. Combat feel. Every robo frame packs a basic blaster plus a chargeable special shot fueled by SP. Tanaka's PCM samples layer a crunchy decay on each blast. Think low-bit Dream Theater riff. Special weapons, purchased between stages for a currency you'll swear is Monopoly money, range from Triton's Quake Stomp to Alcedes' homing neutron spheres. Porters inevitably exit levels with 90 SP unused just in case, thereby reenacting the cola-saving meme decades early. Enemy scripts cheat just enough. Flying Sentry eyes strafe edges of the screen, forcing jump cancels that mimic Contra 3's pseudo-air dash. Ground snipers time bullets so Triton's knees eat lead unless you first frame the select swap into Panthera's crawl. The resulting dance is equal parts platformer and bullet waltz. Boss showpieces Bubble Hydra, a serpentine turret that vomits lattices of translucent spheres. The canonical strat fire as Triton until the bubble wave forms, then instant swap to Panthera. His crouch sprite is shorter than the projectile hitbox, letting the danger glide overhead. Yes, the community discovered this in 1995 and never looked back. Crystal Guardian, 3-tier elevator duel where each platform houses a rotating gem core. Destroy cores or risk ricochet lasers that boast more iframes than a 3.5 ED and D Monk. NGC 1611 surface battery. Mode 7 cannon scrolling right to left while you bound between antenna pylons. Miss a jump, and Triton vanishes into the starfield like a forgotten G.I. Joe figurine. And then, just when you've leveled your trio to respectable adulthood, the narrative offs Panthera in an acid bath cutscene and gifts you Xardion, a towering amalgam sporting shoulder railguns and a smug anime grin. Starting again at level 1, Xardion embodies the galactic DMV twist. A gate late in NGC 1611 requires his beam to charge past a structural integrity check only after he hits level 12. No partial credit, max out, or go home. Cue backtracking through earlier planets, grinding XP from respawning drone nests, and cursing your teenage decision to ignore JRPGs because numbers are boring. Does it feel like padding? Absolutely. Does it subtly teach you to appreciate game-wide enemy placement with fresh weapon synergies? Also, yes. The gate's green and red status panel even flickers like a DMV now serving 0012, underlining the motif that the universe literally withholds progress until paperwork's stamped. Audio and visual flair Kohei Tanaka's score layers. Chiptune choir pads beneath snare samples that crunch like someone dropkicked a DR550. Stage intros belt heroic leitmotifs. Boss fanfares hit minor key modulation that foreshadows doom. The continued screen loops a synth organ dirge bleak enough to make Metroid weep. Each mech fires with distinct timbre. Triton's pew resonates metallic. Panthera's twin muzzles hiss plasma. Alcedes' P-Psi orb rings glassy. The mix is busy but never muddy, proof the SPC-700 can juggle 5 robots without clipping. Graphically, Xardion leaned into chunky shading. Triton's calf pistons animate. Panthera's tail flicks mid-dash, and Xardion idles with shoulder vents hissing micro-steam cycles. Background layers shuffle at different scroll speeds. Mode 7 starfields warp on exit ramps, desert suns ripple via color math, and one orbital elevator scales its shaft so convincingly I still lean forward when riding it. Philosophical slowdown visits when more than 4 sprite explosions overlap, but we already know the SNES liked to flex its melodrama in slow motion. Legacy and influence commercially, Xardion sank into bargain bins faster than you can say. Transparent plastic video store hang tag, no sequels surfaced, no GBA revival, not even a deluxe collection mention on Switch Online. Yet designers clearly scribbled notes. Multiple playable frames with unique stats prefigure Castlevania Portrait of Ruin's partner system, and Odin Sphere's multi-campaign leveling arcs. The mandatory late-game grind for a new form foreshadows Mega Man Zero's X skill crystal upgrades. Capcom just mercifully removed the DMV desk clerk. The robot RPG hybrid blueprint echoes in indies like Blaster Master Zero, where Sophie's tank upgrades demand revisiting earlier areas for power-gated doors. Culture-wise, mecha devotees celebrate the cart because it bridges early 90s light novel aesthetics and Gainax's OVA golden age. Hardcore Gaming 101 notes Katoki's bevel edge armor plating as a prototype for later Gundam redesigns. Zimmerit's deep dive on Tanaka's score frames it as the missing link between Gunbuster's string swells and Sakura War's Broadway bombast. Meanwhile, speedrunners baby the ROM. The current any% record hovers near 38 minutes, one caffeinated lunch break, thanks to a select buffer trick that despawns certain bullet patterns if you toggle frames mid-animation. Apparently, the Galaxy's DMV honor system doesn't account for sprite trash collection. Community marathons abuse that to sandbag boss DPS, and then ignite chat with Xardion when smash memes. Why niche then? Because Xardion asks players to juggle platform precision, shooter reflexes, and resource math. 3 circles whose Venn diagram resembles a sliver. Rental kids expecting instant Contra thrills bounced off the stat screens. RPG stalwarts rolled eyes at limited story text. Shooter purists missed rapid-fire macros. Reviewers mirrored that whiplash. GamePro dubbed it ambitious but uneven. Superplay buried it beneath a Super Aleste recommendation. And Nintendo Power ran a 2-page strategy snippet before quietly forgetting it existed. Yet those who stuck with the grind found a bittersweet twist. Panthera's scripted demise marks one of the earliest hero deaths in a Sens action game. Reddit threads still quote the cutscene's terse, "Damage critical is mission continues" caption as proof that 92 cartridges could tug heartstrings without voice acting. Closing paragraph plus score. So what ultimately is Xardion? It's the rust-flecked plasma saber hanging in a cosmic DMV lobby. Glorious, inconvenient, and unforgettable. It's a test piloting seminar where you're required to level grind before the instructor hands over the keys to the final exam mech. Sure, the jump physics sometimes misfire, and yes, a level 12 cap sounds small until you realize you must hit it on 4 separate chassis. But when the soundtrack swells, when Xardion's shoulder cannons thunder, and when that gate finally blinks from red to green, bureaucracy be damned, the satisfaction radiates brighter than a Mode 7 sun. Final verdict, 6.5 out of 10. Not a universal classic, but an indispensable museum piece for anyone who ever kit-bashed Gundam models at 2 AM, or argued whether Kohei Tanaka's brass hits harder than Yuzo Koshiro's bass lines. Now grab a ticket, watch the display board, and remember, in this galaxy, even heroes have to stand in line.